But thank you, Mattan.
Sure thing. Yeah, thanks for having me. I know you guys put some work into this, some of which we'll see kind of in this deck that we'll go into. And what I plan to do here is kind of switch up format a little bit from just being like a lecture, so to speak, or just going through slides and walking through. I'm happy to do that. But I think what's also insightful is to see how do you actually apply a lot of this directly within some of the tools within HubSpot. So HubSpot as a platform is quite powerful. We've been using it for about 5 years now as an agency. We use it across all 3 functions that it provides: marketing tools, sales tools, as well as service tools. And we'll look at some of that here together as we kick things off. Let me get a screen shared and we'll get going. All righty. Okay, I should be able to see that here in a second, yes?
Yep.
Okay, fantastic.
Yes.
So yeah, as Matt mentioned, this growth stack concept, which I'll definitely explain on this call, what is it? What's it all about? Why does it exist? And how does it actually align, in my opinion, what we see a ton of happening, the disalignment, if you will, unalignment between marketing and sales departments. So HubSpot as a tool doesn't do anything for businesses, but it acts as a platform or a piece of technology that can bridge those pieces together. So just a little bit about me, as Matt mentioned, I'm the founder and CEO of WEBITMD. I sit here in Los Angeles, in Culver City. I started the agency in 2008, actually down in San Diego. The first 4.5 years were there. Since then, moved back up to LA, some family here. And have an have an office here, have an office now in Dallas, and an office in New York as well, in Chelsea. 8 of us on the team, so we're pretty small as a team. At one point had 16, 17 people full time. Purposefully, I've kept it very small and boutique since then. On purpose, trimmed it down. Pretty particular on who we have as team members, and obviously the types of clients that we work with now as well. All in a digital agency since the outset. We don't do any traditional marketing. We don't do any out-of-home, TV, radio. All that we do is digital. We started the agency driving traffic. So if you guys are familiar with organic search or SEO, paid media, running campaigns, that is on Google or on Facebook or on LinkedIn, we started really what I call the top of the funnel, driving traffic to businesses. But what we found is not just driving traffic, we also need to worry about what happens after we get traffic to a website. And even beyond that, how do we actually help organizations, whether they sell products direct to consumer or they're more of a B2B lead generation, how do we help them actually put the ball in the hoop and convert that into revenue? And that's what the growth stack is all about. It covers all 3 of those buckets. And I'll get into them a lot more here on this call. I do a lot of speaking, really more so for fun than anything. I do some paid engagements as well, but for the most part, I like sharing knowledge. It builds up network. I've sourced good talent out of that. Of course, we've gotten some clients out of it. They come and listen to the presentation. So I enjoy it, and I do quite a bit of speaking around the world. Also, my personal passion is around automation. So I love automating everything. If I can have essentially a tools and technology do the work for me, that to me has a tremendous amount of power, if you will, versus humans doing it. And that was a big reason and kind of effort, if you will, of how I ended up trimming the team down by half when I made some transitions to a more boutique offering that we do today. Also, as I go through the presentation, I ask that you look at the chat pane, we'll have open here in Zoom. I'll try to keep it open. I'll move it to another window now. Just some questions at the end. We'll definitely open it up for some Q&A. And so just feel free if you have some things that you want to throw in there. I'll keep an eye on it here in my other screen, and we'll address them at the end. So the agenda for today, let's talk about methodology first. So the inbound approach, I think you guys have covered it a bit on a few previous calls. I know last, discussion was about kind of the middle of the funnel, nurturing and automation. I'll surely talk about that a bit more, but let's kind of keep it high level. What is this inbound funnel or inbound methodology? There's a marketing funnel, of course, that typically takes people from just viewing a website, visitors, into actually somebody who might be interested in doing business. And then a sales funnel, which takes people from the point of maybe considering that product or service into actually transacting and becoming a piece of business. That whole thing, as you can imagine, is something we present as the growth stack. And at the end, we'll have time for Q&A. Seth Godin, if you're familiar, he has an alt MBA program, by the way, which is awesome. I've had a couple people on my team go through that, and some folks I work with at HubSpot, by the way, that are they have good reviews about it. But what he says is marketing is no longer about the stuff you make, but rather about the stories you tell. So a lot of companies make a similar product. If you follow any of these newer brands that some of us have bought, whether in luggage or in sportswear and activewear and so on, in clothing, a lot of it is plus or minus the same type of product. It might be better fabric, better construction, better customer service. But what really sells us and what really keeps us engaged with a brand is the story that they tell us. How do they engage with us as an audience? How do they sell us, so to speak, on their creative, on social? Like that is what pulls you into having an affinity with that brand and actually therefore transacting with them. So let's talk about the inbound methodology. There's two things. There's context and there's content. When you combine those two things, you have happy customers. So there's a context in which you say something around your brand. And I'll use an example throughout the presentation. If you guys are familiar with a luggage company called Away Luggage, they produce a piece of luggage that arguably many other companies could have produced. It's a plastic polyurethane luggage, has a decent shell on it, has 4 wheels, has a telescopic handle. I wouldn't say it's something innovative by any means. Their marketing, however, has been stellar. And since inception, they've grown tremendously. We happen to work with them at early stage. So the context behind what they did was a piece of luggage. It wasn't something that was, again, state of the art, but what they did is they produced content that allowed people to kind of feel as if they were in that lifestyle. And so when you buy that luggage, you feel part of the community. When you buy a Mac computer versus a PC, sorry if there's a lot of PC users here, but if you buy a Mac computer, you inherently feel closer to the brand. You enjoy the experience more in an Apple store. You really create a happy customer out of it. So what these types of brands do is they break it into 3 stages. You want to attract people first, earn their attention. You have to do that with good quality content, then engage with them, and then finally delight them and convince them that what you have is going to be a good solution for what they're looking for. It seems simple, but brands that do it well, you don't notice that they're marketing towards you. And I think that's what these folks at Away have done very well. So the fundamentals around inbound is you have contacts, and all contacts that we want to go after, whether you sell a product to a consumer or whether you sell, like we do, business to business, what's important is to define some personas. Who are the ideal people that we want to target? We go into this quite deeply in our efforts, in which I know marketing managers, vice president of marketing, head of digital, VP of sales, right? I could tell you who are these folks. I could tell you typically what they like and don't like. I know like their income level. I know where we're targeting them, in which markets they live. And by doing that, if you start defining this more and more, as you can imagine, the messaging and positioning that you would have as you do marketing to those people would be very directed. Again, they may not notice that, but the way you've positioned it is what they see is exactly what they wanted to see. And you know that because you've done kind of the homework of defining their personas. Also, as you start thinking about what content to send to those people, when you play on that content against their personas, what they see is exactly what they wanted to receive, not what you've sold them. And that's the big idea with inbound, is it's not interruptive. When you drive on the freeway and you see a billboard ad for, I don't know what, call it the same Away luggage, if you weren't looking necessarily to buy luggage and you saw a billboard, you might think it's nice, but at the same time, it wouldn't really direct you to go and convert and make a purchase. But yet in the inbound approach, if you were to put out content and informational material and people were to be online searching for best luggage for my Euro trip, and all of a sudden they start reading reviews and they land on Away and then they leave and then you get them again with an ad, they come back, the content resonates. Now all of a sudden you're building a funnel which is part of inbound fundamentals. You're building an inbound stream of business. And when you do this at scale, you can build tremendous power behind your marketing efforts. And of course, in anything in inbound and really anything in digital marketing, obviously set goals. Know what are the metrics for success and optimize all of these factors against them. So let's dive in. If there's any questions, as I mentioned along the way, I'm going to cover kind of the way that I look at the marketing funnel, which is the top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, and of course the bottom or the conversion part of the funnel. Then I'll tie this all together with how we approach projects as a growth stack. And then, as you guys can imagine, I'm going to open it up and give some resources so you could learn more about it. And then we'll have some Q&A that's really an Ask Me Anything type round. And as we get started here, if you could in the chat pane, it'd be really nice to know, what are you guys' specializations? Like, what are you guys actually studying as an area of focus, major-wise or as a minor? If you could put that in here as I see and I'm speaking, that would be really helpful. Let me change this to everyone. Just in the Zoom group chat, I just want to take a glance at that so I can add a little bit of context, as I just mentioned, to the whole presentation. So here we go at the top of the funnel. With any business, I'm talking that has an online presence, you have to get people to your website. That is attracting traffic. So with that, there's three kind of buckets of doing that. One is paid media. This is a big one. This is the most efficient and effective way to drive direct visitors that are highly targeted to the site. That can be done through Google ads, through Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, Instagram ads, and so on. Now, of course, there's a cost behind these, but everything, again, if it's measurable against goals, you see that the cost of doing that effort is actually profitable. The longer term play, and again, one that doesn't cost a cost per click, if you will, like paid media would be SEO. And SEO, or search engine optimization, is where you're actually going, trying to rank a website organically. And typically that's done with the third bullet point, which is a highly effective content strategy. So SEO, when I first started the agency in 2008, was a big part of our business. Now it's much less. Google's become increasingly difficult to try to rank websites for. And organic optimization has also shifted to a really content-heavy approach. So let's talk paid media. So with paid, there's three types of paid ads. Paid search, which is if you go on google.com and search for almost anything, you're going to find some text-based ads at the top, typically 2 or 3, and also some at the bottom. Those are called search ads, paid search, if you will. Those are high intent focused. So in the luggage example, if I were to go and search for best luggage for my Euro trip, it would make sense that somebody like an Away Luggage would run an ad that targets that keyword or phrase and does a paid search ad or a text-based ad that would speak to exactly what I asked for. So if I search for that search query and I went on Google, you would think that I would convert if I saw an ad that said, going to Europe, take the best piece of luggage with you. So those paid search are high intent focused because people actually have to type in what they're looking for. And if you give them a piece of an advertisement that speaks to exactly what they look for, it's a good chance they're going to click on it. Paid social, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and so on. All of these you can get very targeted on, which is the big benefit of doing it on these platforms. But the intent is not there. So when you're scrolling down your Facebook feed or Instagram feed, and you saw that advertisement for the same luggage piece, is there a chance that you were looking to convert right then and there to buy it? Maybe not. The targeting, though, however, could be very detailed. They could know if you're going and looking at other people's pages that share that same luggage piece. If you go and search hashtags around the luggage or Europe, or if you go follow an influencer and they're sponsored by the luggage piece, all of that information is aggregated by the Facebooks and Instagram and LinkedIn of the world, and they allow us as marketers to do targeting against them. Display, on the other hand, is probably the least targeted. So this one is when you're browsing websites, doing your homework online, reading articles, and you see these banner type ads. Are they targeted to you? You bet they are. But the engagement level is typically the lowest on those, and where we find the most success is on retargeting. So if you were to visit the Away Luggage site, they know that you're interested. You may not have converted, but they place a cookie or a pixel on your computer in order to track you. And when you go and visit some other sites, let's say a day or a week later, they know that you're still browsing online. They could show you an ad for Away Luggage that would bring you back to their site. That type of display campaign can be done both with image and now animated, almost full video looking ads on the display network, as it's called. Search engine optimization. So SEO, as I mentioned, big service when we started out, driving organic visitors and traffic. And that's super important. At the same time, it takes a long time to do. You have to write good quality content often and against a lot of other folks who are also producing content that's resourceful. I always say that content is king in SEO. There's no way like there used to be to some extent to kind of game the system or work around Google and how they rank websites and their algorithm. Just stick to good quality, put out information that Google can pick up and read, and then give your website credit or the business's website credit for the fact that it provides useful information for their visitor. Google is all about providing the best user experience. And the way that they rank websites organically by a means of search engine optimization is due to having good quality content. Of course, the long-term benefit of this is you don't have to pay for every click and visitor that comes to your site. So it's a lot of kind of legwork in the beginning, long-term, super beneficial. Content strategy. As I mentioned with SEO, content's everything. What are people searching for? Answering questions that they have. Really focus on educating the audience. Don't focus on all the other pieces that you think would allow people or that would kind of game people to coming to your website with keywords and so on. It's important, but include that naturally in the content that you write and really provide a useful place as a resource center, if you will, when you do content marketing. A lot of marketers out there are writing articles for the search engines as opposed to humans. Flip that on its head, write for humans, and you'll see that the people who come are going to be that much more engaged with the brand. So content is everything. Branded voice, the tone that you use, make sure that as you're writing to those personas that you mentioned or that I talked about earlier. If I know that I want to target that VP of marketing and I know that she reports to the CEO, for example, I just had a sales call today. I knew already before I spoke to her what her role was in the business. It's all available on LinkedIn and so on. So I looked, okay, who does she report to? And then I made some assumptions, most of which were right on the call because I asked her, well, what's important to you? And if I know that those things I already have written about, I direct her to content that basically speaks to a pain that she's feeling. You can imagine that our trust level and her kind of feeling, if you will, of the credibility we could provide went through the roof. So the idea of writing content that speaks to where people are, their personas, and where they land in this kind of journey of purchasing with you is really what ends up converting folks at a higher rate. The tracking piece is, I'll talk more about here later on, but what's important with tracking always is to understand what are those metrics of success. So for us, for example, we sell a highly complex kind of marketing and sales service. A typical kind of sales cycle for me from the first touch point when they fill out a form on our website till they eventually transact and signed an agreement, it's anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. And what I found and measured between that first touch point and the time where they actually sign an agreement, we have about 25 to 28 touch points that they have. Now, what is a touch point? A touch point could be opening up an email that I send them. It could be reading a blog post, maybe reading 3 blog posts. That's 3 touch points. Maybe they engage on our social media content, and you get it. So if they do all these actions, by the time they end up closing a deal, that takes approximately a month to 6 weeks, and it's about 25 touch points. But being able to track that now is imperative, and HubSpot does a tremendous job of doing that for you. So we don't come up with some secret sauce of how to do that. HubSpot just simply allows you to track each action that people take. I'll show you some of these tools in HubSpot in a bit. Middle of the funnel. Well, let me just answer this 1 second here. Matt, I got from you. Do you have a preferred content marketing collateral that you put out? Yeah, happy to answer some questions along the way. So this one goes with what we just talked about. In general, written blogs have been strong forever. And that's simply because they help with SEO, they're long form content, they stick on the website, and over time, we've written hundreds of blogs. What we're finding a lot of success with now is video, as you can imagine, not just in this current climate, but in general, video captivates people in a much shorter time frame. You don't have people's attention for that long anymore to read an article. And so if we can capture them in anywhere between a 30-second and a 2-minute video, we find that to be the most engaging type of content. As we go into the middle of the funnel, now is after you've gotten people to the website, whether it's through social media, through the paid ads, or through SEO. What do you do with them now? How do you actually drive the experience on the website? And first and foremost, you have to have a good-looking website and some good experience. We've tested this time and time again on our client sites, but what's important is that you don't have to overdo it. Make it simple, provide what they're looking for in the shortest amount of time, the shortest number of clicks, and get them to the information that they find valuable just to get them over the hump in this middle of the funnel, meaning they just land on the site all the way through saying, you know what, I'm happy to give you my information. They may not be a lead, but they're happy to give you their information. They're happy to sign up for your newsletter, right? They're happy to do an action that says, all right, I think this brand is something I might want to interact with, or this business might be a business that I could see using their services, but I'm not ready for a quote yet. I'm not ready to add to cart and check out. But that middle of the funnel is where you gather tons of context for what they're doing and ensure that they have a nice user experience on the website. The contacts themselves are the folks that is the basis of everything. This whole program revolves around the actual contacts that live in a CRM like HubSpot. Now, as I mentioned, the contact record and all of the activities that those contacts do, HubSpot gives you that information. They tell you from the first time they land on the website, they're able to track all their activity. They're opening up emails, responding to social posts, even engaging on a live chat. All of that flows into what's called an activity feed. Essentially, it all comes into one place of the contact record. Now, remember, different people are moving at different speeds. So what you do as you start thinking about the middle of the funnel and automation is you start thinking about how do you actually drive people through that in the speed that they want. And so you build campaigns, and this is HubSpot's by far most powerful tool, is their marketing automation piece of their marketing hub. And what this allows you to do is, for example, when they fill out a form on the site, we can send them an email right away. Thanks for your submission. You might find this useful. Here's a couple of articles, maybe a video you'd like to watch, and then set a delay to say until they open up that email, don't send them anything. Once they open up the email, wait another day, send them another piece of email or another piece of content via email. And as you can imagine, this logic could get pretty complex, but the idea is that all this, once built, can drive people through a marketing and sales funnel without human interaction at all. So what comes out the other end of this is essentially an experience that people end up raising their hand and say, yeah, I think I'm ready to buy the luggage. I just have a couple questions. Or, hey, Mattan, I'm interested in learning about your services. I already downloaded your ebook. I already saw your videos. Like, let's talk about if you can help my business. And as you can imagine, guys, like that is something that is half of the sales process. Most sales, traditionally, you have to actually present, and try to win the deal. I don't do much of that. I answer the phone, people knock on our door, and they end up saying, yes, you know what? I've gotten all your information for the last 2-3 weeks. Now I'm ready to have a conversation, see if you can help our business. As you can imagine, that makes my life exponentially easier. The targeting also that can be done as you have contacts in a single list, in multiple lists, you can segment those contacts out. And so you can have contacts that are people that are moving at high speed. You can have contacts that really are highly engaged and they need to be getting emails or social posts on a daily basis versus people maybe that barely have touched your material and they can go in like a long nurturing sequence over the next 2 to 6 months. So there's lists that are created. Some of those you can create yourself and you could pull those contacts into lists and set the criteria. And other lists, which are called smart lists, those are lists in HubSpot that pull based on any type of dynamic, it's like any type of dynamic reason, if you will. So for example, you could say once somebody's filled out the form, very simple list, this smart list that is, once somebody fills out the form, immediately put them on this list. Once somebody books a meeting with me, put them on a sales nurturing list. And if they take 2 separate actions, put them on this other list. As you can imagine, you start building lists based on different types of criteria and driving them through this kind of contact in middle of the funnel process. The types of content that you could put out, videos, case studies, and white papers. These are 3 easy ones. So videos, as I mentioned, using it for sales or for marketing, it's all the craze now. It's easy to consume, short form video, as we know, whether Instagram, TikTok, etc. A lot of these platforms are killing it because they're doing short form video that people can consume and move on. Nobody wants to read a long proposal. Nobody wants to read a 1,000-word blog post. Those days are over. So not to say that you shouldn't do that content. You still need, like I wrote here, the case studies and the educational ebooks and white papers, some of which we've created as well. But the initial kind of captivating content and to keep them engaged with your brand, we see a lot of success across social with video. Email marketing seems obvious. Once you build those lists, email is a highly effective tool to get in front of people. Everyone has email everywhere they go. Smartphones and so on is at this point is pretty much, I don't know anyone who doesn't have. But the idea of building email campaigns into drip sequences is a super effective tool that you could then base automation off of that. And so as people go into these different lists, you can send them separated emails that's targeted based on actions that they've taken. And so those actions could generate a score for them in HubSpot. And based on that score, you could send them different emails. Let's put that into context. So back to the luggage example, if somebody came to the luggage website, they looked around a couple pieces, they didn't add anything to cart. But we know that they looked at the pink small size, and we know they looked at the red large. I already can put those folks on that person on a list and make sure when I send them additional content, when I send them an email to follow up, when I send them an ad to follow up, I'm going to make that highly targeted. I might direct it only at those two pieces that they looked at. I might send them the whole pink collection from small through, a checked-in bag. And I know that that's going to be targeted because they've already engaged with that exact piece. So based on the way that they engage, we assign them a score, and then you can email market to them based on that score. Marketing automation is the true power of HubSpot. Let me see where I'm at with this. Okay, perfect. Okay, great. The true power of HubSpot is around marketing automation. So logic within workflows is critical. Let me jump out of this here for a second so I can show you guys what I'm talking about with marketing automation a bit. Let me move this Zoom over here. So marketing automation to me is where I want to spend a minute because I think that the power behind HubSpot, I think Matt and you guys would agree, is in the tool, the automation that you could build. And so as you can imagine here, this is a HubSpot portal I have pulled up. If we were to look at a workflow, what we could see here, this is a client of ours called Legion Food Trucks. Actually, it's a real client. And just so you guys know, these guys produce, as you can imagine, food trucks. They take trucks from a bare bone truck they buy it used and turn it into these awesome trucks that we've probably all gotten food from. They've worked with the likes of Google and YouTube, which by the way are in the food truck business. And they produce these trucks. Now, what's important for them, they want to get leads for people who want to build their dream truck. But these people who come in, they might not be ready to sign this. This is a big investment, anywhere from $50,000 to about $100,000 for a truck like this, fully decked out, customized. But the idea is when people first come to this website, they may not be ready actually to engage and buy a truck. But what they might be interested in is this right here, which is, hey, get your free food truck startup guide, which is essentially a guide that I could learn about, what are the costs of a food truck? How do I finance this thing? Do I need licensing and so on? And I can get this nifty guide that these folks at Legion Food Trucks are willing to give me. So I give my name, email, that's about it. And with that information, you can imagine that immediately we're going to send them this guide. But beyond sending them the guide, so here would be the would be this one here. But beyond sending them just the guide, we're not just going to send them the guide, but we're going to put them through this nurture sequence. So after we send them the guide, we're going to wait 3 days and we're going to send them another email. We're going to wait 5 more days. We're going to send them a second email. Then we'll wait 10 more days. We'll send them a third email, right? And so what we're doing here is we're bringing people through just them actually checking out a truck and maybe being interested in one all the way through, as you can imagine, those emails. The call to actions end up being book an exploratory call, learn more about your dream truck, interested in figuring out financing, we're here to help, and so on. And so the action behind the workflow is to drive people through this automated sequence that this client doesn't touch until they're done with that workflow. They raise their hand and they're interested in the call. Okay? So with these workflows, you could build tons of logic. The one I just showed is as simple as it gets, which is essentially just a time delay between steps. You say wait 3 days, wait 3 more days, wait 4 days, whatever it is. But as you can imagine with these workflows, you could start building branches. And so you could say, if they get to this point and they open the email, cool, send them this email. But if we get to this point, they don't open the email, send them one of these 2 emails. And those branches could break off. And as you can imagine, you build this massive tree of automation. And at the end of all this automation, you create what is a goal of the workflow, which might be, in his case, for example, an exploratory call or an intro kind of discussion. This is that whole flow. So when you look at any contact, you want to understand where are they in the marketing journey and in the sales journey. So they start out as a prospect, anyone does. They become a lead, they become an MQL, or what's called a marketing qualified lead. That cutoff there, you guys, between what's marketing and sales, this is where the handoff's typically broken in like older organizations. So in the food truck example, when I get to this website as a potential customer, and I click around, I learn about his services, I see some, projects that he's done and so on. But when I go and download this guide, I'm not ready to talk sales yet. I'm still learning. I'm still consuming information. I'm still saying, is this right for me? How much does it cost? Right? I'm asking the questions. To me, as I think about that, I'm what we call a marketing qualified lead. The handoff to sales is when the action is taken within marketing, and that action is a sales action. So in the example that I gave, that action would be that initial call. When you raise your hand and say, you know what, I'd like to learn more. Hey, can we jump on a call? That becomes immediately an SQL or a sales qualified opportunity. So from sales qualified leads, you go into true opportunities, and then eventually they become customers. And this to me, which we're going to talk about next in the sales process, is the most powerful piece as I see it. My role here at the agency is business development. I bring on new business for us. So when I look at deals and opportunities, let me go back to this client so we'll keep it into perspective. There is under sales, you guys, I don't want to go too quick. Under sales, there is deals. Now this is for free with HubSpot. This is a big hook that they have. And what this is these are stages. And as you can see here in these vertical columns, there's initial first part of a sales qualified opportunity or a sales lead would be sending a quote. Then would be, did we contact them recently? Are they a good lead? Are we modifying the quote, right? You can imagine these are steps. Are they looking for financing? All the way through, did we close the deal? Did we lose the deal? Or maybe they're not ready. We got to follow up with them in the future. So we built these deal stages out for this client, and what the client can do is manage their deal pipeline. I mean, if you guys look at this is a massive deal pipeline. They're doing anywhere from 10 to 12 trucks per month. But the point is that there's no way you could manage this on an Excel spreadsheet or in email. It would be complete chaos. And for the record, this client was doing that prior to us engaging. They had just a chaotic scramble of paperwork and spreadsheets all over the place. So having deals built out here, being able literally to drag a deal from step to step and being able to manage the deal within the deal, having all of the information that you could see about the deal. How much is it worth? How is all the communication here? All this is in the contact record of emails back and forth. Who's the contact here on the right associated with the deal? All of this information, having it in one place is beyond organized. So as we talk about sales process, what's important is to know how hot is this contact? Are they ready for follow-up? Are they ready to get a quote? Am I ready to hand it off if you do have a sales team to somebody else who could probably take it, set up a demo, talk about the specifications of the truck, what's your budget, and so on. All that is all part of the kind of qualifying piece. And all that's organized in HubSpot, which is again the piece that they give for free. I'll give you guys a handy link and part of this in a second. But all this is managed in a single CRM or relationship tool that handles all the communication. You can email from within HubSpot. You can make notes within HubSpot when you're on calls. I use the tool every day from a sales perspective to keep my life organized in some version of sanity. Sales technology is huge. So meeting links, as I set up calls with people, I never do the back and forth. When are you available? Does 2 p.m. work? How about Thursday at 3? Oh no, I can't at 3. They don't respond. Now it's Thursday. Are we still meeting? Guys, it's a waste of time. HubSpot has some free tools as well as some paid ones, which allow meeting links. I'm sure you guys have booked some of these meetings in the past, but you send a handy link. It has the calendar on it of your availability, and you ask somebody else, book a time. And that time is one that works for you for sure because it integrates with your calendar, and they book a time that's convenient for them. The time savings just behind this nifty tool, I don't even know, it's hours of time. I also create sales templates. And so, sales templates here, let me go back to HubSpot. Under sales, there's what's called, it's under conversations, what's called is templates. So these are different from marketing emails in which there is no traditional kind of header and footer, what you see in an email, meaning a logo at the top. It looks like it was sent as a designed email. A sales email or a sales template looks like you typed it out in Gmail or whatever your email tool is. Now, of course, you can use smart tokens, as you see here, meaning you could say, hi, first name, hi, James, hi, Beth, and then, of course, compose the rest of the email. But what's beautiful with templates is that you can also create automation with these. So you could send an email, and say, okay, very well. A week later, send a second email. Are you interested in getting a follow, right? As you can imagine, you could build a kind of a sequence here, but it looks like a traditionally composed email that you did yourself. Automation, we use automation internally within sales also. So as I need help with certain things within the sales process, I assign tasks to my team. So I say, hey, if this person opened the proposal, if I sent them a proposal and they opened it, all right, assign a task internally to Andrew, for example, to check in with that contact. Hey, do you need any help with the proposal? Do you need me to walk you through any of the specifics? Would you like to get some time on Mattan's calendar? So that the fact that Andrew got notified of that also happens in HubSpot as a sales automated task. Externally, you can also create tasks, which would mean once the client, let's say, or prospect in this case, using the food truck example, once they open the food truck proposal, maybe you want to send an email. Hey, I see you're checking out the proposal. Let me know if you have any questions, right? But again, you don't have to do that as a human. You could set the trigger for some automation to send out that email. It looks like you're on top of things. What do you know? They're opening the proposal, then they see their email inbox. They get an email from you asking if they need, if you can help them, walk them through anything. It saves a ton of time. And the last thing is what I've been playing with just lately, as of the past few weeks, is embedded video selling. So I have a tool here. I even pull it up here. I have a tool. It's called Vidyard. It's awesome. I mean, I could record myself and or record my screen. I could do them simultaneously. And it's a couple clicks away, as you saw. It's just an extension here within Google Chrome. You hit record. It'll record the screen and or just the camera. And what it does is it on the fly creates a video, and I'm then embedding those videos within emails. So you better believe when you send an email that says, hey, Steve, check out the video below I sent you, and it's a massive kind of video that has some animation to it with a big play button, they're going to click on that, probably more than they would read your big long story that you sent via email. Nobody cares to read that, and especially in sales, get to the point and talk about why exactly you're contacting me. Video selling is something I've been playing with and I've seen a lot of success with. At the end of all of this, it's all about reporting. How do things kind of close the loop, if you will, on reporting, and so you know what's working and what's not. From marketing to sales, and from sales, in my opinion, back to marketing. If I know that certain things that I'm doing on the sales process are helping to close the deal, I need marketing to provide me that information so that I can use it to close more deals. So having a closed loop and having reporting of that is super critical. Where that lives, here under, let me pull up, in this case, some ads for, let me do it in this portal. In ads, for example. So these are some ads that we're running for these folks here at Legion and Food Trucks. So they're running ads, I believe, on Facebook. Right now they're paused for some coronavirus, but nonetheless, we've been running ads, we drive clicks, we get contacts. Now the question is, how many of these contacts become deal opportunities? And then how many of those deal opportunities become closed deals? As you can see here, from these campaigns, we drove 25 contacts in the last 30 days, looks like no customers. But if we got a customer here and that closed into a piece of business, I'd want to know everything about that person so you could try to replicate that time and time again. And that's how the closed loop, if you will, comes back from closing deals back up to marketing to better their efforts. Benefits of closed loop reporting to me are obvious. I think we could scan through this side quickly. You know what's happening. You're up to date on both sides. You're more educated with your sales process, and obviously you improve your closing ratio. So telling sales what they want to hear so they can close deals, but having sales also tell marketing, hey, marketing, you could do this better that would give us better qualified opportunities. That kind of benefit and closed loop as kind of a bilateral type relationship to me is absolutely critical. All this, you guys, landed us on our growth stack. So very simply, the growth stack combines three pieces: the top of funnel, driving of traffic, the middle of funnel with all things nurturing, automation, and marketing related, and the bottom of the funnel with improving sales. When we approach businesses with this type of approach, normally agencies would approach them saying, you know what, we can get you tons of good traffic on Facebook. You know what, we can design for you the best looking website. We can do email marketing for you. We provide this in a single kind of comprehensive offering we call the growth stack. It's been game changing for our business. In the attract stage, we do all the pieces that we talked about: SEO, paid, content. We help improve the conversion rate of the website. We really look at the data that attracts new people to the brand. Then we nurture them. We segment contacts. We do educational content. We produce the guide, for example, that we saw here on the website. This guide that you could download, it's like a 10, 11 page PDF that's packed, it's designed, and so on. We help produce that guide because you know that the client's not going to do it, but you help produce it for them and place it on their website. We also listen on social. Social listening, some tools within HubSpot where you could see what exactly are people doing on the from social and what are they doing on the website. It gives you some good kind of indicators of where to change what you're what you're doing within your marketing campaigns. And you should definitely play with some of this. It's under marketing social. You'll be able to see, I don't have it connected here on this account, but you'll be able to see on social. Want to have some something to look at. So this is our portal. So you're able to see on social, for example, here's some of my videos. Like, I'm interested, why did this video do well on YouTube with 39 clicks versus this one? There was a blog article we wrote, only got 5. What do you know? Another video on YouTube got 21 clicks and one person interacted, became a contact. So as I look at this, what I see is working, what I see is not. Well, I might not write another piece of content like this. I might actually start producing a video that's similar to this because it just simply gets more engagement. So the reporting that you can get with HubSpot, the way you see audience growing over time, all this is part of their free tools. Yes, they have some paid subscriptions to some of their more advanced tools, but this information that shows you how many people are sharing your content and how many new contacts are coming in, week over week or month over month. As I showed you before, which posts are really driving the interaction, the clicks. I mean, this information is super insightful from marketers, and that happens here in the middle of the funnel. And finally, in sales, first you need a good place where contacts live. You got to have some sales technology twice for some reason. Definitely build in some sales automation. And I think what everyone wants to know, and when I go and present this growth stack, this is Chinese to people, you guys. We're all in marketing, and we're trying to present ourselves as marketers to help businesses. But salespeople, CEOs, CFOs, that do finance, that run the operations of a business, COOs, they don't give a hoot about any of this. They care about bottom line. How is this whole kind of growth stack that you're presenting gonna impact our growth? And that leadership level reporting is something HubSpot does beautifully. They roll everything up into dashboards. And so when I look at my own HubSpot portal, for example, I'll show you guys. When I look at this is my main marketing dashboard. I get with my team every month and I want to know, guys, how are we doing? How are we growing? Here's our report for the last 12 months. How are we growing our contacts? So how many contacts are coming in? New contacts are we getting per month? As we saw here, we had a kind of pretty stagnant, if you will, third quarter last year. And then we saw a big uptick in the beginning of this year. Even going into the COVID-19 situation, we're still doing 100 plus contacts. We barely did that 1 month last year. So to me, we made some big changes in our marketing to start the year, and I immediately saw impact of that. So these types of reporting, if as a leader, I go to my director of marketing and ask her, how are we doing? I mean, she doesn't have to tell me and pull up all these spreadsheets. It's here. I want to know how many people are converting, where are they coming from, as you could see here. Are they from our paid social campaigns? Are they from our email marketing, right? These are all kind of modules and dashboards that you can build out within HubSpot. Resources. So I covered a lot of stuff and I took some time to explain it. Don't worry about trying to retain all of it. We put together a stack of resources in a page, which I'll leave open here, on our website, webitmd.com. And we'll share this link after. You guys can grab it here as well. Make it real easy, webitmd.com/edu. So we put together a page. Chris, our creative director, did this for me, which was awesome. And he put together a page that has this information to learn more and dive into this. A few things that are on this page. First is this growth stack. I talked all about it. Discover what it's all about, learn the approach. I think there's some fantastic verbiage on our main page that describes it. You can really dive into what it is. Connect with me. This is my personal link here. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I invite you all to do that. I share some good content and always open to building just my connections. I also shared a link here. We get a free access, if you will. If you click here, and this will take you straight to HubSpot. Play with these tools. Don't be intimidated by the CRM. Don't be intimidated by the marketing tools. HubSpot right now especially is giving a lot of stuff away for free. And for students, this is a link you can click on and get free accounts to play with. There's no harm in doing that. You also should download and learn a bit more. As you can imagine, we have a guide for ourselves. We put together a nifty guide that we explain the growth stack. There's all kinds of things in there around the value of it, how we go about it, lots of good verbiage and kind of buzzwords to use in anything you need marketing wise. I also openly extend an opportunity. I've gotten some talent out of these types of presentations. We are actively looking for good quality talent, whether you're in school, full-time, part-time, about to graduate. I implore you to reach out. This isn't something that you have to be ready for a career, whether it's an internship opportunity or a career. Click on this button. You'll be able to go to our careers page, and we have a form at the bottom of this page. That doesn't mean you have to be, we have some positions that we're hiring for here, yes, but that doesn't have to be that position. I just invite you to, keep in touch. Obviously, you'll go on a list of ours within HubSpot, and, we'll see where this takes us. I'm always open to speaking with talent and seeing if there's good folks here to potentially join our team. And lastly, follow us on social. These are our business pages across Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Lots of content there and good stuff that we always share. Personal email, I'm not shy to give that out either. Feel free to contact me directly after questions, pick my brain. If there's opportunity to potentially partner together, as I mentioned, for an internship or a career, feel free to reach out to HR or to myself, and my direct email is there. Here, there's some links as well within the presentation, but you'll see that there on that page. And if we could, Matt or Andy, we just want to share, this URL with everyone. This will make it super easy to have all the information from today in a single place. Questions? Let's open it up. I don't know how we want to go about it. I know we're here tight on time, but if we have any questions, anything you guys want to pick my brain about, I'm all ears.
I have a question. When you mentioned about the email marketing, right? And how you get into their inboxes and stuff like that. One thing that I've kind of am curious about, because to get the person's attention, right? The subject line has to be up to a certain size or amount. So what are some of the key points or things that you could use or resourceful or to be able to attract the reader to open it?
Yeah, so you mentioned a huge one. That's no secret. Subject line's huge. That's what comes up on mobile. What people also don't look at quite a bit is what's called display text, or it's the text right after the subject line. And it typically shows up on people's phones or on their desktop as that preview text, they call it. That's a great place to inject content. We've been playing also, I don't want to call them emojis per se, but we've been playing with short emojis or kind of icons that you could put in. HubSpot has them directly in their tool. A lot of email providers do. It catches people's attention. What is that email about? Is it about a video? We put a video icon. Is it informational content? We'll put maybe a book so they know that it's like a library of information. So it's kind of some tactics there, because otherwise what people do is they're actually swiping to delete emails right from their inbox on their phone. They're not even opening it. So in that example, you're not even getting the credit for the open.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, I was just wondering, you mentioned that your sales really, your clients really increased this year. I wanted to know what major changes did you do that really increased that?
Yeah, so great question. So in general, we've had impact, a negative impact that is from everything here, COVID-19 related. At the same time, what I've been preaching is that now is the time to double down on building out operations of your business. So start thinking about, do you have a core CRM? What is your messaging and positioning? How are you going to look at things after this whole COVID situation? So that presentation's gone quite well. People have accepted that and said, you know what? We might not have a budget to spend money now. So for example, on paid ads and so on, that's come down drastically. But we are interested and do have some time and effort to put towards our business and kind of re-exploring how we do our messaging and positioning. That's been a big part of our growth here to start the year.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hey, Mattan, I actually have a quick question. So I actually haven't had a lot of chance to explore the sales part of HubSpot. Why is it that they don't have the graphic part of the email section from the marketing into the sales section?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing is they want a sales email to look like it was handwritten. it looks like it was composed as if you were to, type out an email like you would send to me. So can you design it to look like a marketing email? You actually can, but they don't want you to do that. They want those templates to look basic, all text, and it's as if you composed it like a regular email. We've actually found more success, I wouldn't say more, equal success between sending well-designed, beautifully, put together emails on the marketing front versus doing, hey, Joe, just reaching out, happy Friday, and checking in and so on. Like that's a real email. But the point is that could still be automated. Yeah, Sales Hub to me is actually one that they're looking to double down on this year. I think there's going to be a lot of improvements from HubSpot on that front. Their bread and butter, you guys, has been marketing since its outset. Service has just been added in. I'd say that's probably the weakest of the three. But sales is the one I spend most of the time in, and it's quite some powerful tools in there.
Okay, I have a question. Oh, sorry. Okay. So you mentioned you have like a great interest amongst automation. I just want to know, like, does that leave per se like the future of marketing at risk? Because I saw you even mention that you've cut down as far as your team,
Sure.
Because you don't need as much people.
Right.
So what's your take on that? Do you feel like, that leaves us at risk, or like future generations?
Sure. Yeah, great question. I mean, so going back to starting the agency, yes, when I started in 2008, a lot of these tools didn't exist. Did I replace humans with the tools? To some extent, yes. And as you look at as a business owner, of course, there's efficiency there from a dollars perspective and all that makes sense. But at the same time, there needs to be people to run these tools. Humans need to create all this. I mean, just because there's a tool that is built out like a HubSpot, it doesn't make businesses money. And that's why they need still quote unquote marketers like ourselves to come in and build all of this automation that's there. So what you're seeing a change in roles. There used to be jobs that were hiring for certain titles that now it's switched out to a marketing automation specialist or an inbound marketing specialist. Like these are titles that didn't exist 5 to 7 years ago. And I think you're going to continue to see a shift towards automation-based roles, but they need to be managed by humans, and that's not going anywhere.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure.
Mattan, I have another quick question. I was wondering what if you had advice on how to make an effective like automation process, because it seems like there's 5 days, 10 days, but how long should it be, and what to new people like us, like what is more effective through your experience?
Yeah, I mean, typically the rule of thumb for marketing automation is anywhere between 10 and 14 days. So from the time they come in till the time they finish a sequence, like if you can't capture them with some version of interest within the first 2 weeks of time, they're probably going to fade out. Now, those folks still can be put on another list that is like a long nurture sequence, anywhere from 3 to 6 months. But I would say the first 10 or 14 days that somebody interacts with the business, that's when you want to hit them with a few emails and kind of get them engaged as much as possible. They're hot at that point. So the cadence between those emails, which is what you're asking about, should it be 1 day between email 1 and 2? Should it be 4? I would say it's based on the content. So it differs, based on what you're actually sending them. But I like for that first email to go out immediately when they fill out the form. As you've probably gotten on lots of forms, you immediately get something in your inbox. And then I say that second email, no more than 24 to 48 hours. Then you could start to lengthen out the cadence. So imagine emails 2 to 3 would be that 24 hours, emails 3 to 4 might be 48 hours, emails 4 to 5, and so on. So you're actually increasing the time as it elapses.
And generally, if they pass through 14 days and they're still interacting, they're a really hot lead already, and they're ready to make a sale right away.
So what you find is during that 14 days, the ask that you have in the emails or the call to action is for them to take a sales type move, is to raise their hand, is to book a call, and so on. If they do that, what HubSpot would do is it would immediately remove them from the marketing sequence. So if they hit email 3, they get that action, and they take the action, they're not going to get sent email 4. They're going to be sent over to sales.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a smart piece that they built out there. Anything else, guys?
I think I have a question.
Go ahead. Someone else can go. It's okay.
Okay. Not sure who's. Where do we got?
Yeah.
Okay.
From your, I'm noticing that the use of the platform is actually very beneficial for every type of business. It doesn't work only like for leads to come in. So basically, even like I don't know, I'm just coming up with an example. Even if it's like a taco truck or whatnot to come in through leads, it's only going to be available through the click-ins, right? It's not like you have to be I don't know, that's the worst example, but like calling people in old-fashioned marketing, or old-fashioned selling. This is most basically used as of so like what I'm trying to say is like where are those leads coming from? Unless they search for you, then
Right.
there's where the initial will start.
Yeah, I can answer that. So in general, most of the HubSpot that I see as a use case, which is what you're asking, where is it used, is for businesses that fall into two buckets, either B2B lead generation, or they have a direct to consumer brand. Now that means that they're filling out the form or forms on a website and are inputting their information. But that doesn't mean that you can't use HubSpot and specifically the CRM as just a Rolodex of contacts. And if you're any types of business as an old school, business, I say shift away from spreadsheets and, wherever you're writing down all your chicken scratch, kind of notes of people's name and information, get that into a digital format. And HubSpot could be used for that. Absolutely.
I have a question. Oh, do you?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just basically just trying to add on to it. So basically, like the home, small little businesses that want to start from like a home base.
Yeah.
This type of platform will be very good because it cuts off a lot of, like selling, like phone call or cold calling, and I guess it does keep you more intrigued into like the process of what you're selling, the content that you're selling.
Yeah.
And every single aspect.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And that's why for those small businesses, I recommend to them, get on the free tools. Get a place to store your contacts, have a central place of communication, and start playing with the tool. They find it super valuable, and many times they stay just right there. HubSpot has a huge base of customers that just have free tools and not paid. So a lot of value there. Right?
Yeah, my question is, so once you get your client and they're ready to go and they tell you what you want, they agree to the budget, and you set up whatever they need in HubSpot, after that, what is your job? Is your job more to teach, or is your job to just set them up for the future, or do they just have to keep coming back and using you?
Great question. Yeah, so most of our engagements end up being about a year to a year and a half long. So as you can imagine, the setup of this thing is anywhere from 30 to 60 days. So the question is, well, what do you do after that? What we're doing after that is we're creating all the content that's injected within HubSpot, meaning the emails, writing the emails consistently, creating this asset, if you will, that is used as a downloadable piece of material. We're the ones creating that. So we're talking with the client about it, but they typically don't have the expertise or the resources to create the content themselves. So Yesenia, I think you're asking here, do we handle the content? Yes, we end up, creating the content that they need, like that ebook you saw on the food truck website, and those are projects that we're doing on a consistent basis.
Mattan, I was just wondering, how do you, because there's a lot of digital marketing companies out there, and how do you differentiate yourself, or like when you approach your clients, do you kind of talk to them about how you're different and how, maybe it's a growth stack, or do you talk more about, going to them specifically and this is how we can help you, and, you don't know about HubSpot yet, this is what we have, and
Sure. Yeah. So the HubSpot community is quite large, and people who are doing stuff within HubSpot, there's about 3,000 partners globally. We're a platinum partner here in the States. We have some credibility, but honestly, prospects don't care about that. They just want to know, bottom line, how are you going to help my business? The piece that differentiates us is this full funneled approach. A lot of agencies sell one tactic within the funnel. They sell paid ads, they sell email marketing, they sell whatever, even consulting services. We come in and offer this kind of comprehensive growth stack, if you will. Many people don't even end up going for the growth stack, but they're always intrigued by the fact that, okay, these guys get it. They actually want to drive traffic all the way to the bottom line and convert it into revenue. Maybe we just start with them doing Facebook ads. But our methodology, or the way that we think about projects, is that full funneled approach. A lot of people are not talking in that sense. We found a lot of success by presenting it that way.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions, guys?
Yesenia has a question. She says, how do you handle content that doesn't drive much traffic?
Yeah, and I wanted to, King, if you can come off mute, Yesenia, just so I'm clear on that. What exactly do you mean by that?
Let's say you, let's say you post a content, and I mean, not a lot of people, there's not a lot of people that actually see your post. What do you do? Is there a specific way you handle that, or?
Yeah, so depending on the piece of content, I mean, again, what we find success with doing, creating the content is the first step, written, video, audio, and so on. Then it's about sharing that content. So sharing it in places where people are going to consume it. You can't just assume they're going to find it. So we end up sharing it on social. We end up finding other people and other groups who are talking about that specific topic. And then we say, hey, you're looking at building like a food truck, for example. We find a forum out there that talks about how to build a food truck. And you can just Google that and find lots of places having that discussion. We come and inject, hey guys, not selling you anything here for Legion food trucks, but you might find this guide valuable. How do you consider, a food truck for your business, and so on and so forth. So we actually end up going and doing some prospecting, but still creating an inbound type approach.
Thank you.
Sure. Anyone else? Any kind of questions? And happy to stay on for a few more. I'm not in a super rush. I see we still have 23 people on the call, so happy to answer any questions.
Before we start losing a lot of people, I was hoping that we can actually get everyone to hop on the camera just so we get like one big group shot for post-marketing purposes. If everyone's okay with that, can we turn our cameras on?
We got some people.
Sweet.
And by the way, just so I have, if you guys can throw it in the chat as well, or Matt, if you could tell me, or anyone, is everyone here is undergrad? Yeah. And are we talking, second year, third year? Where are you guys at?
Senior.
Graduating.
Senior, yeah.
Third year.
Awesome. Okay, so it sounds like a lot of third year and graduating. So third year, fourth year, or fifth year, and towards the end. Awesome. And we got Isaac's graduate student as well. Okay, perfect.
All right, I snapped the photo. If everyone wants to get off, actually, we had a few more people. I'm going to do one more. All right, and then we can do like a funny one if everyone wants to do that. I'll give like a 3, 2, 1, something funny. All right. Thanks a lot, everyone. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Anything else from anyone?
I have a question. I want to kind of piggyback on Yesenia's question. Like, okay, the content didn't work, right? Say you're starting an online business, any type. It could be like, people are doing either beauty or they're selling their arts and crafts or whatever it is that they're selling, their product or service. So in this situation, if they're launching, how is it that they can start by creating the content, or what advice do you give for them when they create that content so they could have engagement, and then possibly maybe through nitpicking kind of like what works and what doesn't work?
Yeah, great question. So we work with a lot of startup brands too, specifically with one of the examples you mentioned within skincare and cosmetics for ladies. What I actually like is super amateur content, real footage of people who actually can consume this and have some type of connection with the brand. These larger kind of brands that put out this miraculous content that you feel an affinity towards, but you're actually not really feeling who's the owner. I would not be shy when you first start out business to put out real information that's genuine and credible. People really consume that well. It doesn't seem like it's sponsored or advertised. And again, across all channels, that could be through social, of course, that could be written content, but just putting out like kind of heartfelt content, if you will, that's about who are the people behind this business. I think people consume that and and have a pretty good connection to that type of material.
Would you say that the content is non-intimidating? Would you say it's more relatable, that you could actually do it?
Yeah, I think that was well said. Yeah, I think those are good words to use. And again, when you look at some of these large brands, it is intimidating. You say, wow, I don't know if I'm really like that person. I don't know if I can afford this thing. But when it's relatable, then you immediately are drawn, and attracted to it.
But always make sure the audio is perfect, right?
Always make sure.
And then also too, like another thing that I've been hearing a lot also is like being in front of the camera, like show your face, connecting with them. Kind of like what you said earlier about like connecting with your audience.
Yeah, and like I said, the video selling piece to me is just something I'm playing with. Initially, people thought maybe it was a little weird. Now, especially with all that's happening, you guys, look where we are. So, I mean, we're really kind of connected in that sense, and I don't think it's strange at all to be, personable across video.
You showed us some numbers with video. Do you have any other examples of like where video kind of like dominates response? Have you seen?
Sure. I was going to say social is an obvious one. Social's huge. Video selling has picked up a lot of momentum, and I've seen video injected into email. So you can't have a playable video, but you can have some type of a GIF, if you will, that has some animation to it, and they click, and then it goes off to a YouTube page or whatever to play the video. I mean, the consumption rate across video from what we've seen is almost 2 times that of written content. I mean, it's just short form. It's to the point. I get to see who's speaking or whatever, the take that was taken. The overall engagement levels are quite high.
Cool. Thank you.
Sure. Anyone else? Awesome. Well, yeah, so hope you find this valuable. Let me throw one more time here for those who are still left. We've got 20 people, which is awesome. This EDU link here, check it out. There's some resources there. Don't be shy. I would definitely suggest reaching out to me if you haven't already. LinkedIn, I'm super active on. Our Instagram's pretty hot. And we try to share as much as we can on YouTube as well, video content. So lots of good stuff happening. And hopefully we see each other soon. And again, Matt, Andy, and the whole crew, thanks for putting this together. It was, it was great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mattan.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Just want to say thank you very much, Mattan. It's been really awesome working with you. And you took a lot of time to really educate us on this, so it's awesome.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, guys. Take care, guys. Have a great night.
Take it easy, man.
Thank you. Good night. Stay safe.
Bye. Have a good night.